Alright, since the Porsche project is pretty much done, it's time to buy a new project car. If you haven't seen this video series, check it out on Instagram and TikTok. It was previously converted to a GT3. We converted it back to a base Carrera. We went ahead and dyed the interior, redid it completely. We got these Avant-Garde wheels on it, and we did a full respray. However, once this project's done, we have to find something to replace it. I'm keeping this for now, as well as the Ferrari, the Cayenne, and the Super Duty. I've already negotiated the deal, so I'm pretty sure it's going to go through. Some of you are really going to like this project, and others of you are going to be skeptical. I know what it's like to see a car that you're not really that into from one of your favorite content creators, but stick with me. I have a vision for this car, and I think you guys are going to appreciate it much more when you start to see my vision, just like you did with the 360. So if you're watching this video, the deal probably happens. We got a barn find twin turbo 300ZX. Before we dive into this 300ZX, I think it's a good idea if we do a quick history lesson, starting with a Super Bowl commercial that started it all.
So I'm having this dream. I'm in a Turbo Z, and these guys are after me. But they can't catch me, so they get a plane. Just as they're about to catch me, the twin turbos kick in.
The 1990s were a golden age for Japanese cars. Cars like the Toyota Supra, Mazda RX-7, and Nissan Skyline GTR became cultural icons, celebrated in motorsports, and most importantly, the famous Fast and the Furious franchise.
What's the retail on one of those?
More than you can afford, pal. Ferrari.
But the 300ZX was mostly missing from these movies, and this omission left it overlooked by a generation of enthusiasts who fell in love with the JDM car culture through these movies. Today, the JDM legends from this era command astronomical prices at auctions. The Supra and the RX-7 have honestly become unattainable for most enthusiasts. Meanwhile, the 300ZX remains a relative bargain. So why did the 300ZX miss out? Maybe it was timing, maybe it was marketing, or maybe they're just really a pain to work on. But for those who know its capabilities, know that it stands as one of the most underrated heroes of the JDM legends. The Nissan 300ZX is proof that sometimes being overlooked makes you all that more special. Now back to the car that we're actually buying. With some overnight parts from Japan, I think that I can prove to you guys that the average Joe that doesn't have $100 grand or $200 grand to spend on a Supra can actually get into one of these JDM legends and it'd be actually cool. Now let's get this thing home. It's been about 3 hours waiting for the tow truck, so we're gonna grab some food and get out of this place and see when the tow truck driver comes. So it took about 3 hours for AAA to come and get the car, but the reason why I love cars so much is it brings people together who probably normally wouldn't be together. Taylor from Detail Pro came out to buy this car with me, and we ended up bonding with the seller. He even brought out some lawn chairs for us to sit in while we waited for AAA. And it's things like that that happen through the car community that don't normally happen. But now that the car is home, we can actually assess the condition and give you a little backstory on this car. The seller got this car for free, and when they were loading it up on the trailer, they actually had to cut the bumper to get it on the trailer. Not sure why they didn't find any other options, but the car does have a clean title and no accidents, but it did suffer some hail damage at one point in its life, so the hood, the roof, and some of the fenders are covered in these hail marks. And like many other Zs, the rear wing is made from foam, so it's completely rotted out. And like most neglected 90s Japanese cars, the interior did not age well. It's fallen apart and probably going to need a full reupholstery, but we'll take care of that. The good news is it does have the original radio and pretty much all the original pieces, but unfortunately it is an automatic. And the last bit of major body damage is there was a blowout on this tire, so the fender is bulging. We're probably going to need a new fender, but we'll see how we can work it out. So, now for how much I paid for this thing. When I originally messaged the seller, he said he had a buyer for $2,500 and they were picking it up on Saturday. And this was midweek at that point. And so I felt like this was the perfect car to bring to the channel. So I overbid the other buyer and I got it up to $3,800. So I paid $3,800. It does have a clean title. No accidents are reported on the Carfax. But again, it is an automatic. And it doesn't run, and it has hail damage, and obviously it's in rough shape. The seller did say that he was able to start it with starter fluid, so that gives me hope that the engine might be good. So the first steps on this build are going to be to actually get it running. I want to get it running before I spend all this time and money regasketing, manual swapping, and all that stuff. So once we get it running, then we can get a baseline of what the condition of the mechanics of the car are, and then we can put together a list and start ordering it. My guess, with the manual swap, paint, all the work that's needed on the interior, we're probably going to end up spending close to $10,000 on this build. So for a fully sorted, rebuilt, manual swapped 300ZX twin turbo, I think we're going to end up at $15,000 or less, which you can go find cleaner versions for $15,000 that are running and driving, but at some point they're going to need all the stuff that I'm going to do to this car. Many of them have original paint. The trim is bad, the interiors are falling apart, and they're in need of a lot of maintenance. So this car, even though it's starting out rougher than a $15,000 car, I think by the time I get there, I'm going to have a much cleaner and better car that I can keep and rely on to drive anytime I turn the key. And as far as content goes, I'm going to still be making the reels and the shorts for YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and all that stuff. But I'm going to try to upload at least one 10-minute video a week. That might combine a few different of the shorter reels that I make. So make sure you guys subscribe. Let me know down in the comments some of the ideas you have for this build. What color do you think I should do the interior? Should I keep the outside red? And any suggestions on mods, deletes, or whatever you guys have experience with on this platform. I did used to own one of these in 2016, and then I ended up selling it a year later because I didn't have room to park it. So I'm a little familiar with the platform. I've done injectors on it and stuff like that. So, but I'm still newer to the platform, and I'm looking to learn. So, but now we've got it home right next to the Ferrari 360 and next to the Porsche 997. Definitely looks out of place in my garage, but with a lot of man hours, I think we can get this thing looking really good. I've got some good sponsors coming in. So before I spend all the money on new turbos, timing chain, regasketing the engine, I definitely want to get it running to make sure that the engine is healthy. So in the coming episodes, you could expect us to start working on it in its current shape, and then we'll tear it all down. So make sure you stay tuned to see what I do with this thing. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and drop a like on the video. I'll see you guys next time.